You're watching Tech TV. You're watching Tech TV.
Hello and welcome to Newsweek South Asia, a program that talks about breeding of terrorism and its impact on South Asian nations. Let's begin with the headlines first. Afghan women the worst affected from Pakistan-sponsored Taliban terrorism. Indian security forces tighten muscle on Pakistan's infiltrated terrorist in Kashmir. International community lauds MasoodAzhar's ban in recently held UNSC meet. After Easter Sunday attacks in Sri Lanka, Islamic State claims its footing in South Asian nations. And Sri Lanka pays tribute to victims of tragic Easter Sunday bombings. Multiple rounds of peace talks accompanied with varied terms of negotiations have failed to bring any agreement on de-escalation in Afghanistan. Pakistan-sponsored Taliban terrorists are leaving no stone unturned in making sure that the Afghanis continue to live in an environment of fear and violence. Afghan women are the worst affected people from this never-ending violence. They fear the lives of their children who accompany them at their workplaces. A latest blast in a government building of Kabul has intensified the level of anxiety and concern among Afghan women for their lives and their children's. Moreover, working men and women of Afghanistan have become skeptical of attending their offices due to consistent fear of bombings and terror attacks, as the country has seen a rise in the attacks on government offices in recent past. Newsweek South Asia has a report.
Afghan mother and government employee Meena Ahmadi was working in her office when a loud explosion shattered the windows and sent panic through the building. Instead of ducking for cover, she ran downstairs to find her 2-year-old daughter who was crying amid the commotion at the government-run daycare center.
بسیار بد حال بود. چقدر طفلا، مادرها، استادا همشون پریشان بودن و ایران مونده بودن کدام طرف فرار کنن.
Islamic State claimed responsibility for the attack on Afghanistan's Ministry of Communications and Information Technology, which killed and wounded over a dozen people, broke months of relative calm in the capital, and underlined continued security threats despite efforts to open peace talks with the Taliban. It also caused women like Ahmadi to reconsider the decision and to bring the children to work.
و بعد از او به مادرم زنگ زدم. مادرم، شوهرم همشون امروز روز برات بود. روزه گرفته بودن. بسیار گریان کردن و دعا کردن. اما همون لحظه به فکرم این می آمد که اگر امی لحظه بیاین همینجا بم پرتن، ما را حلال کنن، چی حالتی به مقام پرستن؟ یعنی فکرشم کردن نمیتونستم. چون از دفعه زیاد ما هر روز از وقتی که عمله صورت گرفتم ما هر روز نمیتونیم به دفتر خود بیاییم. اینجا که میبینیم بسیار سرسام تاثیر میکنن.
Providing female government employees with daycare centers has been a successful government initiative, increasing access to employment for thousands of women, including breastfeeding mothers. There are now over 375 daycare centers across the country, providing 6 hours of lodging, food, play and primary education to 10,000 children. The centers first started in 1945 but were all shut down during Taliban rule when women were prohibited from working with men. However, in 2002, Afghan government brought them back and encouraged them to re-enter the workforce. But in recent months, Islamic State fighters and the Taliban have been increasingly targeting government offices and international aid groups where Afghan women work closely with expats and men.
هر روزی که به اینجا میاییم یعنی یک حالت روانی ما رو کاملا خراب ساخته. این به سر روان ما طفلای خردی که در کردستان است، از همشان بعضیشان مادرشان نمیارن، بعضی کسا استعفا دادن، حتی نمیان به دفتر.
Talks between the United States and the Taliban, the most sustained effort to end America's longest war, began last year, but progress is slow. The sixth round ended recently in Qatar with some progress on a draft agreement on the withdrawal of foreign troops. The United States is seeking a Taliban guarantee that they won't let terrorists use Afghanistan to stage attacks.
Moving on, since start of this year, Pakistan has repeatedly tried to infiltrate terrorists across the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir. Pulwama terror attack was one such manifestation of terror activities Pakistan has been perpetrating in otherwise peaceful state of India. Indian security forces, steadfast along the line of control, swiftly launched a counter-terrorist drive and devastated Jaish-e-Mohammed terror camp in Balakot of Pakistan. Since then, the northern state of Jammu and Kashmir has been witnessing a sudden plunge in terror activities emanating from Pakistan. In the current year, Indian security forces have neutralized over 86 terrorists and nabbed more than 20, instilling a sense of fear among the terror outfits operating from Pakistan's soil. A report.
After the launch of Operation All Out by the Indian security forces and the Balakot airstrike on Jaish-e-Mohammed terror outfits, a lull has prevailed in terrorist activities across the Kashmir Valley. More recently, Indian security forces eliminated the top terrorist commander Zakir Rashid Bhatt, also known as Zakir Musa, in Taral area of South Kashmir, adding one more to the tally of neutralized terrorists. The Chief of Northern Command had earlier assured the people that Indian security forces will not allow Pakistan in succeeding in their nefarious designs.
Pakistan, as you all are aware, has continued with its activities which are mainly anti-India, whether it is promoting cross-border infiltration, ceasefire violations, drug trafficking, narcotics, circulation of fake Indian currency. All their actions are actually working towards ensuring that the proxy war waged by them against India is continuing. But I must assure you that our efforts to thwart each of these actions of theirs are in place, and Pakistan is not able to succeed in their designs.
Indian security forces have recently claimed to have neutralized at least 86 Pakistan-infused terrorists in the valley, an act that has loomed fear among the terrorist outfits operating from Pakistan. Addressing a news conference in India's northern Udhampur city, Chief of the Northern Command, Lieutenant General Ranveer Singh said the operation to neutralize the militants will continue in the future.
During this year, we have been able to neutralize 86 terrorists so far, and our operations for neutralizing more of them continue in the same manner. There are nearly over 20 of them we have been able to apprehend.
Since the heinous Pulwama suicide car bombing claimed by Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorist outfit, Indian forces have stepped up an offensive against Pakistani terrorists who have tried to intrude Kashmir from across the border. An upheaval that ensued in the region post the Pulwama attack seems to have come to a rest these days. Although Indian security forces and police have not loosened tight muscle in their efforts to flush out Pakistan's terrorism from Kashmir soil.
After decade-long efforts, India gained a huge win in bringing MasoodAzhar, the Jaish-e-Mohammed terror outfit chief, to justice. The proscription of MasoodAzhar in United Nations Security Council's 1267 list is a clear indicator of anguish the member countries had against global terrorism. In a recently held meeting of UNSC, a number of countries unanimously welcomed the move and expressed solidarity with India, which saw a deadly Pulwama attack perpetrated by the blacklisted terror outfit. We have a report.
The listing of Pakistan-based Jaish-e-Mohammed chief MasoodAzhar as a global terrorist by the UN Security Council has been termed as a significant achievement by the member nations in holding perpetrators, organizers and sponsors of acts of terrorism accountable. The proscription of MasoodAzhar in the UNSC 1267 Al-Qaeda Sanctions Committee turned out as a huge victory for India after a decade of relentless efforts to ban the mastermind of several terror attacks against India, including the deadly Pulwama attack against Indian security forces. The listing subjects Azhar to an assets freeze, travel ban and an arms embargo. Germany and Poland, who had also co-sponsored the proposal to blacklist the Jaish-e-Mohammed chief, termed the listing of Azhar as a significant achievement by all members of the Security Council. While attending a UNSC meeting, German ambassador to the UN Christoph Husgen said, "It was a good signal, good sign for the work of this committee that we were able earlier to have the listing of MasoodAzhar. It was difficult for some, but I think it was very important that we were able to overcome the obstacles." Pakistan's all-season ally Beijing also supported the 1267 committee in working under council mandates. China's representative Yao Shaozun said the 1267 Sanctions Committee represents an important counter-terrorism sanctions mechanism of the UN and the Security Council. He further added that UNSC plays a significant role in assessing terrorist threats and strengthening sanction measures. It is closely communicating with the countries concerned and bolstering cooperation with regional and sub-regional counter-terrorism mechanisms with a view to making greater contribution to international counter-terrorism efforts.
As far as United Nations Security Council is concerned, out of 5 permanent members of UNSC, the 4 have supported Jaish-e-Mohammed MasoodAzhar's nomination as a world terrorist. It was only China which was not supporting it, and China is not supporting this, or it had to support it finally simply because it uses Pakistan as a proxy to ensure that India gets stuck up in carrying out anti-terrorist operations in the South Asia itself or in India itself.
The 1267 Al-Qaeda Sanctions Committee of the powerful Security Council blacklisted Azhar on May 1st after veto-wielding permanent member China lifted its technical hold on the proposal by the US, the UK and France to list him.
After being wiped out from Iraq and Syria, a desperate self-proclaimed Islamic State is trying to register its presence in South Asia. After taking responsibility of the deadly Sunday Easter bombings, which took more than 250 lives, the organization has staked a claim over territories in India and Pakistan. While experts have mocked its claims inside India, they fear that Pakistan is vulnerable to such diabolic ambitions and could provide new headquarters to these defeated terrorists in coming times. A report. In a desperate bid to revive its terror legacy after suffering a massive embarrassment in their own backyard, the so-called Islamic State have announced the names of its territories in South Asian countries of India and Pakistan. While the obsolete Atlas of Islamic State described some parts of Pakistan, Afghanistan and nearby lands as Khorasan, they have come up with specifics this time. Valaya al-Hind for region they claim in India and Valaya Pakistan for their claims in Pakistan. Calling it a figment of ISIS imagination, Indian experts say that propaganda is being manufactured and propagated to gather more media traction, which the organization has lost in recent months.
It is very true that ISIS now does not hold any territory both in Iraq as well as Syria. They have been physically eliminated from there. However, their propaganda machinery keeps on going on, and now they're claiming that they are spreading to India, Pakistan, South Asia, and rest of the world. As far as India is concerned, their claim is completely false, because if you look at the successes of the security forces, one would realize that last 2 years, more than 120 youth who were trying to go to ISIS have been caught before they could carry out any terrorist act. Our intelligence has been good. The security forces have taken prompt action, and all the youth who were wanting to go and join ISIS have been captured and have been publicly educated before they could carry out any act of terror. As far as establishment of ISIS in India is concerned, there was recently a claim that they are trying to spread their wings in the Kashmir Valley, maybe in the northeast in some parts of Assam, and maybe in some parts of Kerala. But this claim is actually exaggerated.
However, similar assertions cannot be made about Pakistan. Its affectionate ties with terrorists that have only flourished with time have provided a breeding space for other organizations, including the Islamic State. A rapid surge in the Islamic fundamentalism under the state patronage lately makes the country more vulnerable to Islamic State entry. And finally, the presence of large disenfranchised segments of society, including the various sects of Shia minority, and existence of militant groups in Pakistan will offer ISIS an opportunity to recruit and carry out its activities.
Pakistan today is a factory for global jihad. If you look at terrorists in Pakistan, they are of 3 types. One is the world variety, the Al-Qaeda, the ISIS, who have their roots there. Second are terrorist groups which are active against Pakistan, especially the Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan. Then there are groups which Pakistan government supports, like the Lashkar-e-Toiba, the Jaish-e-Mohammed, the Hizbul Mujahid, who carry out attacks against India, and they are trained, recruited, motivated and given money by Pakistan Army. So as far as the training of terrorism is concerned, Pakistan is a global factory for jihad, and it has been responsible for terror attacks not only in India, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, Iran, but also in many parts of the country, including Xinjiang province of China. So ISIS entry into Pakistan is very much a reality.
If ISIS claims are to be believed, then they have already launched their mission in Pakistan. The claims in last few weeks include a number of minor attacks on security establishment and civilians. The assassination of a police officer in Balochistan and a sudden surge in offensive against their rival, the Taliban, has also been claimed the IS terrorists. Various experts across the forum believe that ISIS capability might have reached at its lowest, and it might be struggling, but it has not been defeated comprehensively and might resurge in coming times. Now it is high time that Pakistan's establishment, which has a history of fraternizing with terrorist organizations, to see the writing on the wall and start working to hinder the danger, else the day is not far when the army generals who hold a large sway in the hybrid democracy of Pakistan will be working at the behest of Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Sri Lanka completed a month since the deadly terrorist attacks sent shockwave across the country. Following the attacks, Sri Lanka witnessed chaotic situation of communal clashes and riots. Amid all chaos, citizens remembered the victims of the Easter Sunday bombings and paid tributes. We have a report.
Sri Lanka paid tributes to the victims of Easter bombings after a month since the fateful Black Sunday that witnessed killing of over 250 people in the island nation. Many people offered prayers in the remembrance of the lives lost in the terrorist attack. Last month, Sri Lanka was jolted with series of blasts across prominent churches and hotels in the country on the occasion of Easter. Family members of those who lost life in the heinous attack remember the tragic series of events.
Like at 8:40, I look at the clock at what time will be the mass finish, and that was the time at 8:40. Within some time, a huge flame came into my eyes and I fell down. Once I fell down, I opened my eyes and I saw my sister, and she was coming to me and like calling Akka. Once I turned my head for the left side, my dada was bleeding. I tapped my dada, "Dada, wake up, please wake up," and he shook his eyes. And so I thought, dada is alive, so I want to take him to the hospital. So I begged people who were inside the church just to carry my dada, but no one didn't come to help us. All were taking videos and doing those steps. At last, me and my sister carried our dada outside of the church and took. No ambulance was there, so we took him to the hospital by auto.
Hundreds of devotees kept a moment of silence as the church bells were rang at the exact times when the bomb went off. People offered prayers in front of the damaged shrine, which has become a testimony of the brutal Islamic State attack on Sri Lankan residents.
At this moment, let us remember all those who are called to eternal rest on 21st April because of the tragic bomb blast. Let us remember all those who have wounded. Remember all the families who have affected.
Following the terror attacks, the Indian Ocean island nation witnessed communal clashes which led to a nationwide curfew. In aftermath of the attack, Sri Lanka is fast recuperating and making all efforts to bring life to normalcy. Although schools have reopened amid tight security, the attendance of students was registered low as parents refused to send their kids to school fearing another attack. Trauma of the attack is still in the minds of people, but the wounds are starting to heal as peace returns in the country. Citizens are hoping that normalcy will return in their lives soon and they'll be able to calm the communal tensions which simmered after the attacks.
And with that, we come to the end of this edition of Newsweek South Asia. We will be back next week with more news, views and analysis from the subcontinent. Meanwhile, do keep writing to us at nwsa@ani.com. This is Surbhi Sharma signing off on the behalf of the entire production team of Newsweek South Asia. Goodbye and take care.